Hello and welcome back. Today's topic is failure in a job interview. A job interview failure is a major confidence hit, and confidence is everything in this game. It's challenging to get back on your feet after a bad experience. So what's the solution to this? Make sure that you don't make any of the following errors, the errors that we're going to talk about, which account for most of job interview failures. Resume. Your job search is likely to involve these hideous and hairy resume warts that make HR managers around the world turn up their noses in disgust and keep you from getting the interviews that you need and the jobs that you want. Your resume's flaws will only worsen as the recruiting season approaches. So I've compiled a list of reasons your resume fails you that I see daily as a professional resume writer. At best, resume errors will give you a poor first impression. At worst, they will cost you the work that you're looking for. Approximately 70% of employers claim these resume deal breakers would cause them to deny any applicant before even reading the application. Employers are more likely to respond to lies about your qualification than to lies about your skills when it comes to lying. Some of the most common mistakes I have listed. Under your name, you start your resume with the word summary. On your resume, that space, the room under your name, is prime estate property. Using this line to state a meaningless, obvious word is a huge marketing mistake. You wouldn't write business card on the back of your business card, right? So in this prime resume real estate, using the word summary is an equal failure. Your resume does not clearly state the role that you seek. Recruiters and hiring managers may not take the time to find out what you want before quoting you for a particular position you might be qualified for. It is just not going to happen. So, using our tools, figure out what you want and then make it clear in the overview portion of your resume. What job is it that you're looking for? There's no other way around it. Your resume appears to be a list of tasks that needs to be completed with your name at the end. So if you have a list of tasks or obligations or bullets that begin with responsible for or duties included, you're losing out on an opportunity to actually stand out. Because these tasks and responsibilities will be mentioned on the resumes of anyone who does what you do. Same designation, they do the same things. You can distinguish yourself by describing how well you completed these tasks, these responsibilities. To do so, create a resume that focuses on what you do well and your accomplishments. So that was about resume. Now, qualifications. Exceptional candidates also lose out on great opportunities because they do not strategically use their interview time to sell their skills and experience. Instead of reiterating your resume's skills and experience, explain why your background makes you the best choice for that position. Mr. Charney explained, in this candidate-driven industry, many candidates believe that they can just turn up and get the job. That isn't how it works. You must sell yourself upfront, even in a candidate-driven market. You'll be more likely to get an offer and have more negotiating leverage this way. Our clients are searching for signs of a sales demeanor during the interview because many of the positions we fill are customer-facing and commercial. We still advise applicants to wrap up the interview as though it were a sale. You're closing a sale. So candidates will also sabotage their interviews by saying inappropriate things, and that can happen. On the other hand, what's not said is always the source of a candidate's most unsuccessful interview practices. It can be challenging to remember ideal examples on the spur of the moment. When job seekers endorse themselves during a job interview, they are often concerned that they may come across as very boastful or vain. We've probably all experienced that sinking feeling that comes with recalling one of your career's most significant achievements while walking back to your car in the parking lot. So capitalize that. Missing your chance can be painful, and it can push you down the candidate list to the second position when you belong at the top. Gather your notes and review your talking points thoroughly at least a few hours before the actual interview to avoid unnecessary and unsuccessful interview methods like this. Make a list of examples that you may want to bring up in an interview. The more time you spend thinking about your responses ahead of time, the more likely you can get them absolutely spot on. Actively direct the discussion during your interview towards subjects that will help you express your success stories and demonstrate how you can bring unique value to the job. In an interview scenario, some standard questions will be asked. Although it's crucial to practice and rehearse how you respond to these questions, you can never appear to be reading from a script. Never do that. Instead, you should customize your responses by studying the businesses you're applying to ensure that you respond with relevant examples. Make a list of your credentials, qualities, and abilities that you can bring to the table. These should be written right on your resume so that recruiters don't have to search for them and they can get to know before you go in for an interview. It's important to demonstrate to the hiring manager that you have the skills and you have put them to use. Reminding the interviewer of your applicable certifications or even the jobs that you've had that have qualified you for this role isn't enough. Prepare to argue that your specific experience allows you to be the best candidate. Often try to use examples when answering a question about your qualifications. This not only explains why you are skilled, but also explains how your talents and abilities are put to use. Focus on how the use of that talent or ability contributed to the company's success, while presenting an example from your own previous work experience. If you can provide an example of a project you managed while saying that you're a professional project manager, explain if it was done on schedule, how it contributed to the company's profit or loss. Offer to explain your qualifications for the role while actually writing out or explaining your qualifications. If you're interviewing for a position that needs exceptional writing skills, for example, have a writing sample or carry in a portfolio of the kind of writing work that you have done to show that you are fit for that particular role. If you're providing a sample based on an assignment you did with a former employer, be sure to remove any confidential or sensitive information because that will also talk about your work ethic. Don't forget to explain to the interviewer what you intend to achieve during the first 30 or 60 days on the job as another way to show the kind of credentials you have. Expressing your potential accomplishments will provide insight into the type of work you're capable of doing for the interviewer. Now, some mistakes in terms of communication. Here are some typical interview mistakes that will cause me and those who work with me to reject candidates almost immediately. Inconsistency. For an interviewer, a lack of explanation is exhausting, frustrating, and distracting. If you are not clear about what you bring to the table for a specific job role, chances are you won't be clear enough to succeed in that particular job role. Being rude to the interviewers. During an interview, a candidate should never be disrespectful. Since you never know who knows who in this particular industry, there's a risk you will end up on several companies' blacklists. Just be careful about that. And if you don't want the position at the end of the interview, uphold your own professionalism. Not being prepared, not understanding which company you're interviewing with or what the company does, what are their products and services. I've asked, why do you want to work for a particular company? and received an answer along with the lines of, I'm only looking for a career, or I have no idea what your company does, at this point, I'm just going to call it a day on the interview. I really don't want to take that candidate anymore. Another fatal error, bad mouthing previous employers. This is a major red flag because if you're bad mouthing your previous employers, you're likely, highly likely, to badmouth the questioning employer if things actually go wrong. So no interviewer, no employer would want to take you, especially if you're badmouthing. Too much talking and not allowing the interviewer to finish their questions can seem overconfident. The interviewer only has so much time to get to know you. Remember, unless you can prove them otherwise, the decision on your application is always a no. They will not move you along in the process if they do not receive the details that they need. So if you keep interrupting them, not allowing them to finish, automatically you're giving an indication, saying no. Talking too little and giving responses that don't provide much insight into your experiences. It's not the interviewer's job to ask you leading questions or to elicit answers from you. It would help if you told your story straightforwardly and absolutely concisely. During initial interviews, asking about salary. Big no. It is customary not to discuss salary until an organization is ready to recruit you. As a result, an applicant who applies and keeps inquiring about a pay pack right away. Be sure that the answers to interview questions should usually include one or more of the following main points: issue, solution, outcome. If you are able to follow that particular format of talking about what the issue was, what the problem was, what is the kind of solution that you brought about, and what was the outcome for the business, that could speak a lot in your favor about the kind of qualifications that you bring in, the skills that you bring into the job. So all the best. I'm absolutely sure that if you are able to take all of these points into consideration, you will not get the opportunity of failing an interview. So let me say bye-bye for now. I will meet you again with much more information, knowledge, tips and techniques on interviews. See you again. Bye-bye.